If you've been active in the online Star Wars fandom recently, you've probably heard of a project called The Hunt for Ben Solo, an abandoned Star Wars film initiated by Adam Driver and Steven Soderbergh that has the entire internet talking about the sequel trilogy again. I'm Danny, and if you know me, you know that I've been a big fan of Star Wars, especially the sequel trilogy, for a number of years now. If you follow me on TikTok, you've definitely seen my Star Wars cosplays. I made a lot of videos leading up from The Last Jedi leading up into The Rise of Skywalker, and today we're going to talk about The Hunt for Ben Solo. In this video, I'll be breaking down everything we know from the initial interview with Adam Driver, to Steven Soderbergh's comments, to fan actions, articles, fan theories, and my own personal opinions, as well as what you can do to let Disney know that you still want to see this project, assuming that's what you want. It is 10:54 p.m. It took me 3 hours to collect all of this information earlier today, and I am ready to go. It all starts on the evening of October 20th when AP News publishes this article, Adam Driver on Jarmusch, Star Wars, and Putting Filmmakers First. This was an interview he did as press for his upcoming film Father, Mother, Sister, Brother, directed by Jim Jarmusch. In this interview, this is where he first mentions the abandoned project of The Hunt for Ben Solo. The article reads, I was always interested in doing another Star Wars. I had been talking about doing another one since 2021. Kathleen Kennedy had reached out. I always said with a great director and a great story, I'd be there in a second. I love that character and love playing him. Driver says he took a concept to Soderbergh for a film that would take place after 2019's The Rise of Skywalker. That movie culminated in Ren's redemption and apparent death. Driver had undertaken the trilogy with an arc in mind for Ren that inverted the journey of Darth Vader. As the trilogy evolved, it didn't play out that way. Driver felt that there was unfinished business for Kylo Ren, or as he was known before turning to the dark side, Ben Solo. Soderbergh and Rebecca Blunt outlined a story that the group then pitched to Kennedy, Lucasfilm Vice President Carrie Beck, and Lucasfilm Chief Officer Dave Filoni. They were interested, so the filmmakers then pulled in Scott Z. Burns to write a script. Driver calls the result one of the coolest expletive scripts I have ever been a part of. We presented the script to Lucasfilm. They loved the idea. They totally understood our angle and why we were doing it, Driver says. We took it to Bob Iger and Alan Bergman, and they said no. They didn't see how Ben Solo was alive, and that was that. It was called The Hunt for Ben Solo, and it was really cool, adds Driver. But it is no more, so I can finally talk about it. Soderbergh in his statement said, I really enjoyed making the movie in my head. I'm just sorry the fans won't get to see it. Representatives for Disney and Lucasfilm declined to comment. And that's when the Star Wars fandom blew up online. The information went viral within a few hours. Everyone wanted to see this project be made, and not just the die-hard sequel trilogy fans, but fans who even prefer the originals or prequels were speaking up online to express their discontent about the cancellation of this film. On October 22nd, Deadline posted an article about Steven Soderbergh's response to the public backlash about the film's cancellation. The Oscar winner said it was a first for Disney to reject his completed script for The Hunt for Ben Solo. For the record, I did not enjoy lying about the existence of The Hunt for Ben Solo, but it really did need to remain a secret. Until now. Also, in the aftermath of the Hunt for Ben Solo situation, I asked Kathleen Kennedy if Lucasfilm had ever turned in a finished movie script for greenlight to Disney and had it rejected. She said no, this was a first. Previously, Soderbergh said in a statement to the Associated Press, I really enjoyed making a movie in my head. I'm just sorry the fans won't get to see it. In an article from The Playlist published on October 24th titled The Hunt for Ben Solo, Steven Soderbergh and Adam Driver's secret Star Wars movie was greenlit before Disney pulled the plug, it reads, sources close to the project emphasized that this was not a loose concept or early pitch. The film, operating under the codename Quiet Leaves, had a finalized screenplay and was entering early prep and staffing stages. Disney purchased a fully developed treatment and beat sheet developed by Soderbergh and screenwriter Rebecca Blunt and hired Scott Z. Burns, who was paid more than any screenwriter in Lucasfilm history, to complete the screenplay. According to insiders, Kathleen Kennedy, Dave Filoni, and Carrie Beck were directly involved throughout the development and were reportedly enthusiastic about the drafts that came in. Kennedy and the Star Wars Story Group waited until the project was ready to shoot before presenting it to Disney. When the final script, budget, and proposed start date were delivered to Disney, it marked the first time Lucasfilm had ever presented a fully approved project that did not move forward. After the submission, the project stalled at the executive level. Sources say that Bergman took an unusually long time to read the script, and when he and Iger finally responded, their primary concern was narrative continuity, specifically uncertainty about how Ben Solo could be alive following the events of Rise of Skywalker. Internally, that reaction surprised Lucasfilm leadership, who reportedly felt the story's logic was clear and creatively sound. Several people close to the production interpret the decision as politically motivated, coinciding with Iger's efforts to position Bergman as his successor at Disney. Evidence of the film's progress surfaced earlier this year when Lucasfilm designer Bobby McKenna posted on Twitter that he had taken part in a design sprint under the Quiet Leaves code name, an early pre-production phase for the movie. The title itself strongly suggests the narrative focus. Ben Solo, redeemed at the end of The Rise of Skywalker, survives, and his whereabouts become the central mystery. Whether Rey Skywalker or other established established characters were involved remains unconfirmed. Some fans have speculated that Driver's recent comments were an attempt to pressure Disney into reviving the project, but sources close to both the actor and Soderbergh dispute this. Both filmmakers reportedly consider the project permanently shelved and are no longer bound by NDAs or any contractual restrictions, as the film is classified internally as dead, hence feeling free to discuss it publicly for the first time. Naturally, people are pretty upset about this information because I don't know a lot of people who were very happy with the way that The Rise of Skywalker ended, and as much as Disney doesn't really want to admit it, Kylo Ren and Ben Solo were part of the main selling points of the sequel trilogy, and so to have him killed off in such a vague and sudden way really upset a lot of people. The fans were very upset to hear this news because I remember when The Rise of Skywalker came out, first of all, I did not like it very much, or maybe at all. It's grown on me a little bit over time, but not really. And people's main issue with it was, of course, they kill off the last Skywalker. They kill off Ben Solo, even if Rey does take the Skywalker name. But people thought it was really dark that the last Skywalker died and a Palpatine took their name, even though Rey is like an awesome character and, you know, she deserves to have like a found family. It was really dark. It was really dark, especially after the discovery that like Ben was Rey's other half. And so a lot of people were very unhappy with how that ended. And so to find out that they had the opportunity to bring this character back to life and Disney rejected it seemingly over politics, people were very, very unhappy with that. It really, to me, feels like because of the backlash over The Rise of Skywalker, Disney is just trying to avoid the sequel trilogy at all costs, avoid mentioning it, avoid anything. Even with the TV that has come out recently, none of it has anything to do with the sequel trilogy. In fact, a lot of the shows are just patching up the damage that The Rise of Skywalker did, and I am a diehard sequel trilogy fan. I love The Force Awakens and I love The Last Jedi. I had huge hopes for The Rise of Skywalker and it kind of let me down. So the fact that Disney had this opportunity to fix what had been broken and they rejected it. On October 24th, 2025, Star Wars fans flew a banner over Disney Studios that read "Save #The Hunt for Ben Solo." This started spreading like wildfire all over the internet. And not just that, but on October 25th, Reylo fans paid for a billboard in Times Square in New York City that read, "For Adam, no one's really gone. Hope lives. Ben is alive. #THBS." Featuring a quote from the sequel trilogy and blue butterflies that many fans associate with Ben Solo because of a short 3-part series published by the Star Wars Kids YouTube account on May 18th, 2020 titled Ben Solo and the Bug Hunters, where a young Ben Solo helps Han Solo and Chewbacca escape danger with the help of a flock of blue butterflies that he helps escape from captivity. And missing posters have also been spotted all around Disney Studios. There were also 2 fan-made websites, but when I went back to find them for the making of this video, they seem to be gone. So I don't know if they still exist, if they've changed their URL, but I can't find them anymore, unfortunately. And these are just some of the biggest and most notable actions. There have also been petitions. People have been vocal online. People are organizing meetups of fans who want to see this film made. And I just got, this is crazy, I just got a text literally right now that says that another banner was flown over Disney that says shareholders want the hunt for Ben Solo. I don't know if that's true. Like, I'm just looking at this right now. This isn't included in my research notes. I'm trying to find the source so I can tell if it's real or not. Collider posted an article about it. Oh, this is from November 13th. Why am I just hearing about this now? Okay, that seems to be real. And it just goes to show that if fans are willing to spend however much money it costs to fly a banner over Disney Studios twice and have those things printed and pay for a billboard in New York Times Square and post posters all over Disney Studios, do you not think that these people would also just pay for a movie ticket? Like, how much money has been sunk into convincing Disney to bring this film back? Do you think people would pay this much money for The Mandalorian and Grogu if that movie had been thrown out? I'm just saying, I love The Mandalorian, I love Grogu, I love Pedro Pascal, but I'm just saying. As for the fan theories, there are many, and I can't cover them all in this video, but I can cover the most popular ones that I have seen a lot of. Some fans have speculated that The Hunt for Ben Solo was in the works as late as December 2024 based on Steven Soderbergh's Letterboxd diary, where he logged all throughout 2024 having watched every single Star Wars movie except for The Rise of Skywalker, his most recent viewing being A New Hope on December 30th, 2024. These viewings imply that he could have been doing research for the Hunt for Ben Solo film to ensure that there were no continuity errors or to include references back to the old films in the Hunt for Ben Solo. I do think that this theory is super valid because why would he be watching the movies as late as the end of 2024 if he wasn't doing research for the film? Like, I can't see him going back and watching all of the films, especially not in order, because you saw the screenshot of the order in which he watched the films. I can't see him like going back and watching those films out of order unless it was for research for something. So I think there's a lot of validity to this particular theory, and I do think that him not watching The Rise of Skywalker is really funny, because I also don't see him watching the films out of order as like a grieving thing, like, oh, my film didn't get greenlit, I'm gonna go watch Star Wars now. I think I'd be kind of pissed off and I wouldn't want to watch Star Wars anymore. I don't know, but that's just me. Next up, the Star Wars fans thought that the Star Wars YouTube channel might be dropping hints when they published a clip of Rey and Ben fighting Palpatine in The Rise of Skywalker, after having previously not acknowledged the sequel trilogy at all for many years since the public backlash to the final film's release. This was published 2 days after Adam Driver's interview was published on October 22nd. So is it a hint, or was it just Star Wars YouTube taking advantage of what people were talking about in the moment? Not necessarily to generate interest for The Hunt for Ben Solo, but because they saw that a lot of people online were talking about the sequel trilogy, and so they dropped one of Ben Solo and Rey's greatest moments. The most recent theory comes from an interview with Sean Levy, who is the director of the Ryan Gosling-led Star Wars film Starfighter. In his appearance on the podcast On Film with Kevin McCarthy, Levy said, "On Starfighter, we had a whole different idea for something in the third act, and then things didn't align and I was forced to come up with a new idea, and I'm literally right now shooting that section of the movie. And every day I'm grateful that the way I was supposed to do it didn't work out, because the new idea that it forced me to explore is so much better than the original idea would have been." Fans online have been speculating that either initially the first act was meant to include Adam Driver as Ben Solo and had to be cut due to the cancellation of The Hunt for Ben Solo, or the third act was rewritten to include Adam Driver as Ben Solo because the movie has been greenlit in secret. I do feel like that if this is true, then it's more likely to be the first, where Adam Driver, Ben Solo, was meant to be included in the film and then was cut out after The Hunt for Ben Solo was cancelled, especially as it aligns with like Steven Soderbergh's Letterboxd reviews and watching, because if we're looking at The Hunt for Ben Solo got cut like earlier this year or something, then that gives Sean Levy enough time to have rewritten the third act, and now he says, this article was published a few days ago, so now he's filming it, so it gives him enough time to have filmed, prepped, and now they're filming it. I don't think it's very likely at all that it was changed to include Adam Driver as Ben Solo, because that would have given them, what, like a month to change their mind, to change the script, and then write it, prep it, and then film it. So I don't think that's very likely at all. I think if it did happen, it was to remove Adam Driver. But again, I think that's, I don't know, I think it's a little bit unlikely. But who really knows? Because that's the kind of thing that we'll never know. We'll never really know what the initial third act of Starfighter was meant to be. And if Adam Driver appears in it, if I sit down in that theater on its release date and Adam Driver appears on my screen in the third act of Starfighter, I'm gonna have a lot of feelings. So what can you do if you want to see this film get made? Get online. If you have any social media accounts whatsoever, search up hashtag The Hunt for Ben Solo. No matter what platform you're on, there are people who are pushing for that film to get made. Go make friends. You'll find so many people organizing meetups, starting petitions, making art, etc. You go engage with those people, repost their work, engage with their content. You can make content of your own, you can make art of your own. Tag Disney, tag Bob Iger. What's important is that we keep making noise about this film being made. I don't encourage people to harass Bob Iger. I've seen a lot of people doing that. Maybe we don't do that. Maybe we don't. I don't know that that's actually going to help our cause, so maybe we don't do that. And what's important to remember is that if the script leaks, this is over. I've seen some fans online advocating for the script to be released, but if that happens, then there's no chance in the world that we're getting the film, so please, let's not ask for that. Now, as for my feelings about this whole thing, when The Rise of Skywalker was released, I was so excited. I saw The Last Jedi on opening day. I saw it 5 times in theaters. I loved it so much. I fell in love with the character of Ben Solo and Kylo Ren. I fell in love with Rey even more. I started shipping Reylo. It was a very big time. I was like a teenager at the time, and so it became my whole personality. Of course, as teenagers do, I literally made the Rey cosplay before the movie premiered, and I showed up in cosplay to the theater on opening night, and I came out of that theater so crushed. Rey Nobody meant so much to me, and Ben Solo Kylo Ren as a character meant so much to me, and so to take away those two things was like, I don't even get the point. Like, what was the point? It's just really hard to watch, especially to see your favorite character get that treatment of, like, they're being killed off for no real reason. Like, there's no real explanation and there's no real confirmation that he's gone. Especially at the end when Rey is on Tatooine and she sees Luke and Leia, but she doesn't see Ben. Like, it's kind of vague and kind of, like, unclear what happened to him, and I think that's what Adam Driver and Steven Soderbergh were kind of like banking off of, that uncertainty and the fans' uncertainty about where he had gone. I do think I've read many theories over the years. I read theories that there were fan screenings before, like 2-3 weeks before the film actually released, that had a completely different ending where Ben didn't die at all. I read theories about how they never filmed a death scene for him and the film was just edited in a certain way that made it look like he died when he actually was supposed to live. I read theories that none of the actors knew what was going to happen in that film, and that's why they all left like the after party super early and crying and upset because they didn't know what was going to happen. I read theories that Adam Driver read the Palpatine reveal lines in his closet, and I don't know how much of that is true, but it is just indicative of this messy process that this film was. This article itself reveals Adam Driver saying himself he had this kind of reverse Anakin Skywalker arc planned for Ben Solo, that he signed on to this film hoping to achieve that message, and that this film kind of threw that into the mud. And I do think it is all related back to the backlash that The Last Jedi faced, which I frankly think was completely ridiculous. Like, if you didn't like it, you don't have to go see it again. It didn't ruin Star Wars. That's an exaggeration. It was just a film done differently. And I think a lot of the hate had to do with the women involved in that film. The Rose Tico, Rey, and Admiral Holdo of it all, where all of the major lessons in that film were motivated by the women in that film. And I think people didn't like that, and I think the backlash to it was frankly ridiculous. The backlash to it was one of my first like exposures to the alt-right side of the internet online, when I saw the kinds of videos that were coming out, the hateful things that people were saying about the women actors in this film and the women characters as well. And I think that The Rise of Skywalker is such a result of that hatred. And clearly Disney didn't like seeing that, and I think The Rise of Skywalker is a direct result of what happens when you listen to the fans, especially the hateful and angry ones. Because I know a lot of people hated it, but I genuinely don't think that the majority of people hated it. I think that the people who liked it were just quieter. You know what I mean? And so it felt like such a cop-out to not continue that story, to not follow through with what had been started. To see that they had this idea, this completed script that was even on a lower budget, to bring this character back that was already fully written, already ready to go. They had the lead actor on board, and they just threw it away over politics is really disappointing. And I think it is such a sign of where Disney is headed and where Disney has been headed for the last few years, where it is more about profit than it is about telling stories and doing these stories justice. And that makes me very sad. I was at Disney World in Florida earlier this year because my friend was working there and was able to get us into the parks for free. And I had kind of fallen out of the Star Wars fandom a little bit. I wasn't really like online. I wasn't really participating in the discussions that were happening online. I wasn't really cosplaying anymore. And then I went to Disney and I went to Galaxy's Edge, and it reignited my love for this franchise in such a huge way that when this information was announced, that when this article was published, it crushed me in a way that I hadn't felt since December of 2019. It made me so sad. It made me so disappointed. I really hope that Disney gets its act together, and I really hope that this film is greenlit. I think there is still a really good chance that it could be greenlit, and there's of course a lot of theories that Adam Driver said this to pull like a Ryan Reynolds Deadpool situation where he shows Disney how much the fans want it and pressures Disney into making it. I think that possibility, even though it has been denied in some of the articles I referenced, I think it is a very real possibility that people see how much they want this. And I know that the new CEO, Bob Iger's stepping down sometime next year. It was looking like Alan Bergman was going to replace him, but now it's looking like that might not happen. And this movie's cancellation being one of the reasons that he might now no longer be Bob Iger's successor. I don't feel like we'll be getting answers anytime soon. This could take a really long time to work out and to discuss with the creatives behind it, but I am hopeful. I think we should all be hopeful, and we should keep making noise. It has been over a month now since that article was posted. People are still talking about it. The conversation has died down a little bit, but people are still talking about it. So I encourage, if you want to see this movie made, to keep making noise, because we want them to know that this isn't just like a in the moment thing where we're kind of upset. We actually do still want this movie to be made, and there is forgiveness. If they change their mind and decide to make this movie, we're all in, you know? But it is really kind of sad to see this turn that Disney is making, because I really have been a Disney Star Wars defender up until like The Rise of Skywalker, but even all the new shows, like I really enjoyed all the new shows. I don't know about the choice to make a Mandalorian and Grogu movie over a Hunt for Ben Solo movie. I don't know about the choice to make a Ryan Gosling-led Star Wars film over a Hunt for Ben Solo movie, but for the most part, I have been an avid Disney Star Wars defender, and so this is just really disappointing to hear that they've kind of let their loyal fans down in this really huge way. That there was the possibility for this fan favorite character to return, and instead of giving the fans what they want, they chose profit. So that's my video on The Hunt for Ben Solo. I hope you enjoyed, and I really, really hope that this film gets greenlit. If I hear any other major news, I will make another video. If you follow my TikTok, it's at DannyDoesCreations. I have been trying to do as many daily updates as possible. It's not really possible anymore because there aren't daily updates to give, but I've been trying to do frequent updates on news surrounding The Hunt for Ben Solo, articles that people are posting, fan theories that people have, just anything that pertains to Ben Solo, Adam Driver, Kylo Ren, any of that. So if you want to follow me on there, I will be doing semi-frequent updates. Oh, also, I have one more thing. I have been doing the updates on The Hunt for Ben Solo on TikTok, but for the past few days, there's been basically nothing to share, and so that made me a little bit sad, and so I decided to make these stickers. It says, "Save the Hunt for Ben Solo." It's got a little blue butterfly on it. It is super cute. You can find these in my Etsy shop. I only have 4 right now because I didn't know if like that would be something that people vibed with, but I wanted to do something to like spread the news and keep people talking about it. So these are in my Etsy shop. You can find it right now. The link will be in this description. There's only 4 right now, but if I sell all 4 and people want more, then I will make more. I make them at home. I design them myself. I print and cut them at home. So if you want more, it takes me like a day or 2 to make more of these. So let me know in the comments if you like these, if you want to see more of these, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!